Hello, everyone. So, ready after lunch for this session? We have discussed today many interesting topics, including reliance, labeling, OTC, and so on. But without regulatory system strengthening, how can we support these initiatives? So I'm very pleased to moderate today this very crucial session, which is Attaining WHO Maturity Level and Opportunities for Collaboration, with my esteemed guests and speakers. For the start, I will invite Prof. Bawazir to join us here. Prof. Bawazir took the lead as a pioneer in clinical pharmacy practice and contributed enormously to spread the concept of clinical pharmacy among pharmacists and healthcare professionals in Saudi Arabia. Furthermore, Prof. Bawazir was elected as a chairman for clinical pharmacy department and a member of the College of Pharmacy board in 1986. For more than 12 years, Prof. Bawazir worked as an advisor to the Executive Office for the Health Ministers of Arabian countries in Gulf. Prof. Bawazir worked for 8 years as an advisor for the Minister of Health for Pharmaceuticals. For the last 10 years, Professor Bawazir worked as a vice president for Drug Affairs and advisor for the Saudi FDA. During his work, he led the drug sector development through a strategic plan and managed to establish a state-of-the-art drug regulatory system that ensured quality, safety, and efficacy of pharmaceutical products and contributed positively to overall public health. In May 2015, Prof. Bawazir retired from King Saud University and Saudi Food and Drug Authority, and he established Bawazir Pharma Consulting Center in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Welcome, Dr. Bawazir.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Doctor, for a nice introduction. I'd like to thank the organizing committee for giving me this opportunity to present with you some of our experience in Saudi Food Drug Authority, the way forward from since establishment until it's achieved maturity level 4 recently, and we are happy to share our experience with this regard. What I will try to take you through some of these steps so that we will be able to give you some insights on how SFDA was started and what important points that may be learning from our experience in this regard. We are lucky that in late 2003, the government had a royal commission to study what the benefit of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia would benefit from establishing an independent national regulatory agency that will be taking care of all food, drug, and authority, and medical device, and cosmetics, and most of the products that had impact on health. And the recommendation came based on what's going on and what we're going to achieve. And this decision was taken to establish a regulatory authority that is independent. That means the journal is coming under any ministry, and it's reporting directly to the head of the government, and we'll be able to establish, give this all the authorities needed. So during this year, you find there is a board of directors, which is headed by late Royal Highness Bin Sultan as a head, and we have so many ministers in the board. And they gave us the all authority to establish a state-of-the-art regulatory agency. During this time, from 2004 until 2009, we had to build up the infrastructure, to hire people, to put a strategy for the agency, how it should be developed, and we set all the laws, and how can we bring different laws together in order to make sure that during the application and during the practice, they will not contradict each other, and make sure that we would have such a wonderful agency. We are lucky, we started our strategy with one of the consultant bodies. He worked with us for almost 2 years to establish our regulatory. And what you see in the slide, this is the basic element for any good regulatory body. It's the pre-marketing strategy, what you want to achieve. It's post-marketing strategy. That means what happened after you register the product. Did you forget about them, or you continue really doing your job in terms of pharmacovigilance and quality? And then also the communication. What you offer to your community, what you offer to your country in terms of assuring them that the product that's coming under your jurisdiction, under your decisions, the public have trust in your decision, and also they have trust in the product that is marketed in the country. So this is an essential component that we try to manage. And then also when we set up the setting, one question we ask ourselves, are we imitating others, or we want really to be a leading regional drug regulatory authority in the region? Are we going to invent some of the rules that based on our needs, not based other countries' need, so we'll be able really to be distinguished? And when we set up our vision and mission at the beginning, we said, okay, let's at least to be distinguished on the region. So we said our first vision and mission, we say will be a regional. After 10 years, they decided to change. We say not only region, we would like to be also a leading international science-based regulatory protect the public and thing. So that means we have change in mind of our staff who is working, that you need to have a good training, be able to take good decision, and also you'll be able to innovate. So you'll be able really to offer something to the region and the global in your participation. So this is something important for us. With this happening, there is when we did some restructuring of the structure of the Saudi FDA. And then you could see that we had a board, which is representing by now the head of the board is the Ministry of Health as a person, not as Minister of Health. And representative from all ministries that are representing that they have impact on the functional of the SFDA. And then we have executive president. And under the executive president, we put them the main sectors, which is food, drugs, and medical device. And then each sector will make sure that it covers the needed to regulate this product that's coming under section. And then we move all operations in terms of inspection, licensing, away from the main sector. We give them to the operation so that people who are doing all the GMBs and warehouse inspection will be coming under operation. This is also just because to utilize the human manpower in different things. We have, of course, established the labs, also serving all the sectors that is needed and other planning that you can see. This is the drug sector current executive directorate that is built again based on how the functionality of that. And you could see that we have drug regulatory affairs. When you have executive directory for benefit assessment, we have executive directory for product evaluation, and then for the pharmacovigilance. So these four major directorates coming under them. In the principle, all communications with the SFDA would come under the regulatory affairs. So what we use the regulatory affairs department as the firewall between those people who are working inside and the communication with the companies. So that in order just make sure that all the regulatory issues is done through the Regulatory Affairs Department, and those people who are actually looking for your process and things, and you can communicate with them easily. Of course, you can meet other departments in special meetings, but this is, just try to protect the assessor and the other people from the way that is daily communication with the clients. This is when we set up, we are lucky when we set up our strategy, the WHO have published these 7 points. And they said, if you want to build a good regulatory, don't miss these 7 points. Put them in your strategy, and if you are good to fulfill them all, we will say that you have a good regulatory system in your country. So you could see either from the licensing, from the assessing, from inspection, and controlling, monitoring, controlling promotion, monitoring safety, providing. And remember these 7 points. These are 7 points. The SFDA would come back and judge you based on if you want to assess you for global, for maturity levels. So what we did, we said, okay, our strategy, our department functionality should not matter anything. We try to cover all these points, just make sure that we duly have developed a good regulatory system. You could see the Department for Regulatory Affairs, they are responsible for standards, product regulatory affairs, pricing of pharmacoeconomics, and controlling and monitoring of narcotics and psychotropic products. From the functionality of the evaluation, when you're building your assessment department, you're going to face with many issues that require special training for special people. And this is what's happening. And if you look to the evaluation, we talk, for example, biological product and evaluation. Not any assessor can assess biological product unless he's been trained in that area. So we developed a specific team for biological training. And if you look to other product, for example, not everybody will be able to assess the active pharmaceutical ingredient dossier. So we developed a team who are doing this one. When you talk about bioequivalence assessment, then also we developed a team who are being very well trained in order to pick up all these issues. So you find things that is needs-based assessment, they have to put it in your mind. So these issues, you have to keep them because that is part of your assessment of your regulatory and how you can achieve your maturity level. The assessment for functionality for clinical issues. Remember when you are, the new CTD came out and came with different modules, and each module has specific information in it. And then also you build your own staff and make sure how they're going to be able to assess this module and the study that's coming. And as you can see, this is an assessment for about clinical studies, risk benefits, and continuation of the such. So these are departments that you need them also and need special training. Pharmacovigilance is how strong. See, most of the regulatory in our region, they are very strong in pre-market. They try to do their best, their training, college. When it's coming to the post-marketing, we start, you don't have that enough number of people. You put them there, you don't have proper training, the system is not there. So now we said, okay, if you've done your pre-market job good, then also you have to do your post-marketing jobs. And this is, they became pharmacovigilance. We established national pharmacovigilance system, special training, special system have to be implemented. People have to be able to understand. And how those people in the pharmacovigilance was part of the assessment team in the dossier. They start looking at exactly what's the risk management plan, how is the company, what's risk minimization measures we're going to implement it, what about signals, how going to be informed. So they get all these issues you could see and how you can communicate it. You will find them also with medication errors and the things that we need to do in order to just to make sure that the dossier you are assessing is going through. What you see about inspection and the laws and enforcement, we just take it off from the department, give it to the operation, because that is somebody who's been trained to apply the law and enforce it and make sure that the market is really under control in terms of all either product quality or inspection or the licensing. one of the issues that we responsible as a regulatory body is how to provide an independent information. And if you look to the point, the second point I mentioned you about the WHO, in the country, you must have a body will be able to answer questions. And the answer question independently, away from companies' influence and away from those people who are influenced by some of the information. You need some skilled people who've been trained. When you need it, then you'll be able to give independent information. And then also we'll be able to respond to so many issues that media will raise, and you need a good people who are understanding the communication to respond to this minute. So this is the reason why we established this. And then you have the laboratory, of course. Lab is part of your process in order to just make sure that quality of product and testing and continuous post-marketing is part of your functionality. One issue which is also raised late about the track and trace and the product availability. Drug shortage is a big issue, and then we have to address it. So then you have a special department who will be able, based on the product available in the country, you will be able to communicate. And the company, when they're going to have shortages, they have to report to the FDA in order to make sure that we don't have sudden drug shortages without knowing about it. And then, of course, track and trace product. That means how can we improve our security of product in the market. So then track and trace became a major issue about how you can make sure that the product from manufacturing reach the patient without any impact or influx of counterfeit product into the chain. So this is something functioning. So if you look to this functioning, we try to cover all the required mandate that WHO they think gonna look for, and they'll be able to functioning as a good regulatory system in the region. When you put your strategy, there is many points you need to think about it. And if you look to these mindset changes, that the strategic pathway, having a paradigm shift with employees and the way they are thinking is very important. So now when we established, we have to teach everybody in the regulatory agency how we want to be and how he can join us in this journey so he will be able to run. So this is something fundamental. If you want to achieve a better maturity level, then you have to sit with your employees, have your strategy clear, tell them what you want to be, so you will be able part of your team. Otherwise, in the middle, you will find people telling you this is not proper, why you should do that, because they have no understanding of what they need. Building infrastructure is required, and if you want to achieve a good maturity level, then you must think about infrastructure. And the infrastructure, I tell you, it's part of your strategy. You need to talk you need to talk to the Ministry of Finance, you need to talk about the people who have a good knowledge about how to structure, you need to talk about other ministries who are involved with functioning, you have an impact, so we'll be able to have a building infrastructure. Of course, investment in human resources is a must. And then from our experience, say when we are established in almost 2004, we start hiring young, fresh pharmacists, graduate, chemists, and then we told them, you want to be part of us, we're gonna send you to the best colleges. And then we want you to be specialized in this area. So every group we test them, we tell them, we want you to be in this department, you want to learn about these skills, how to obtain your degree, and you will come back to us and you're gonna join these departments. After you're getting your degree, you're getting a training. So hiring people is important, invest in them in their training. We had many connection with the major regulatory, so we can train our staff with them during our semester. We hire many consultants. We work with the World Bank also consultation. So in order to build GMB inspectors, you need special training. You need assessors, you need special training. So all these is a very important concept if you want to build your regulatory. And then we have said you're going to say play a major regional role, and then we start thinking about how can we achieve, and we did that with the GCC, central registration, and as playing as a part of our mission, and then be part of international organization. We think that international organization give you strength, give you knowledge, so we'll be able to join the ICH, and then as part of the member, and then later on became a full member recently with the CFTA became full member. Utilize reliance pathway. That means we said we need to rely on certain issues on other regulatory, and we should learn from them. Because once you will discover that the workload on you, you don't have enough staff to perform. So if you want to utilize your best staff resources, then also you have to think about how you can share knowledge with other regulatory that you trust, or at least they provide you some of important information you'll be able to obtain from them if you want to deal with them or you want to use them as a reliant regulatory. And then we think we should play part of the global role as a regulatory, and we will be able to help other regulatory agencies in the region, and also we try to, we see the region developing their regulatory system from this point. So this is the journey had allowed us that we start contacting the WHO, and then we tell them that we would like to be moving in our maturity level. And from the early years, that when we met with the first delegate coming from the WHO visiting us, and then we discussed with them how to become part of maturity level process, and then how can we get our lab to be one of the regional lab in terms of vaccines and lot release and product quality. And then we had our process doing that. What this help us, that we will be able also to start thinking, I think we can do the best job according to the WHO maturity level. And then we start talking about global benchmarking and how we can do it. The WHO have their definition of maturity levels. And if you look to these maturity levels, it's mainly how far you are in terms of your regulatory system. And lucky, we see in our region a lot of maturity level 3. That means at least there is a good system, and that system will be eligible to go for a further maturity level. And we see this is a very important concept in this term. And if you look to these levels, you see level 1 and 2, they can use quality of output. They can use some information in the regulatory, but usually the system is weak. Maturity number 3, then you will see if you have stable system and the organization, and in certain process you are not performing. And if once you reach maturity level 4, then you will are advanced, and then you will be able to provide a good regulatory system. Now, the term the WHO inject is strengthening regulatory system. And I want everybody, regulatory system strengthening, keep in mind, because that is our objectives. Every country must always say, how can we strengthen our regulatory system? Because that is a protection. That is you protecting your public health, and you want to invest. And this is always the same. So the WHO, when they put this concept, which is very important concept. By the way, maturity level managing and strengthening regulatory system, I think this is one of the best programs WHO ever have. And of course, there are other things they didn't, but this is something which is very important. It's saying this is promotion, regulatory cooperation, and convergence and transparency through It's also, they talk about networking and working, sharing, and reliance, and you building regional capacity in membership strategies. And what's this telling you? Is that it's telling you, say, today you hear reliance so many times, and people are presenting a reliance, and the people, they said, we love reliance, and we want to do that reliance. That is, what is this telling you? Look to every model and every achievement, so you will be able to utilize the information and knowledge. In the past, you had problem with communication. Today, with ease of communication through networking and things, it's much better. You can always build good relationship with one of these regulatory systems who have very strong regulatory, and you can utilize their expertise and their work. One of the things, if you remember, one of my colleagues today talking about a reliance model, but when we examine the dossier is not the same that is submitted to the relying authority, and we have some deficiency and something. That is, this can be solved easily with communication. With that, communication with industry is important. Also communication with the reliance body that you are depending on, and you can communicate it. That will help you building the system. One of the issues, the WHO, is the 5 steps of strengthening regulatory system. So what they're saying, these are, if you want to strengthening your regulatory system, these are the 5-step model. We, as a WHO, system that we always, so development of management of benchmarking tools. So I would advise everyone here that go and get a copy of global benchmarking tools. So you will be able to go through, this is the detailed documents, and you'll find more than one different documents. And for example, the indicators document is around 350 pages, something like that. So you need to go through them in order just to understand the concept. Then you have benchmarking of regulatory system. What telling you, benchmark yourself, say what you have, what you don't have, how you can improve, what is missing. Then formulate an institutional development plan for continuous improvement. That means based on what you find in the benchmarking, then you can tell you easily what you have, what you didn't have, what is missing, so you will be able to contribute. And then start working in the capacity building, and how through this process you will be able to improve your staff, how you're asking for more staff, you training, how you can communicate, things you do. And then, of course, continuous monitoring and documentation of the program outcome and principle. So what this is saying, this is something you can follow, we can use, and we can strengthen our system. So this is summary in the global in the WHO benchmarking, and then you will be able to see the processing that will take you through. Efforts should be focused on establishing and strengthening your critical value-added regulatory system. Okay, what WHO is saying there is a lot of functionality in that. So when you want to strengthen, start first to strengthen the most important. So look at what is the most important things that you want to. So if they're talking about product registration, they're talking about licensing, they're talking about medical product vigilance, they talk about importation and market surveillance. So these are, they said, okay, let's focus on the important. Then later on we can expand. So this is something you keep in mind. And if you look to the global benchmarking tools, they have 9 elements. And these elements, they try to take you through. So people, the WHO staff, or those people who are gonna involve with you, and your team. So your team is the responsible, it's not WHO. WHO is like the checker. They will help you, they will give you instruction, but it's your staff. So during this work, remember, they said you cannot actually have regulatory body if your legal system is not clear, if you don't have the mandate, if you don't know how to do it, if you will not give you authority. So that is just the beginning. And then you will going to take you through the whole part of organization and governance. Who are you? Where are you? Did the government give you authority or not? What sort of thing you're going to take? Policy and strategic planning, how you're going to do that? How you're going to develop your agency? Leadership and crisis management, how you'll be able to lead your organization and how you'll be able to manage crisis and regulatory. Quality and transparency, accountability, and communication. That is a critical issue. Because remember, regulatory would never success without transparency. Transparency means you will be able to defend your decision you taken, you have very clear, and the system is running clear. So one of the transparency, if ask a company, which the best country you want to register, and he said, oh, it's this country, country X. And then you ask him why. He said, very clear. All the regulation, they are very transparent. They're responding to us. Now, remember, if you are in the other end, then there is a problem. So that is part of your how you can strengthening your quality and risk management system. This is became part of the process. So you'll be able to address. And then, of course, regulatory process. Regulatory process, we advise always people, don't reinvent the wheel. Look at the best regulatory process that fit your needs and also compatible with major regulatory bodies who are working. So we'll be able to achieve that. Resources, human financing, this is a big issue. You know, we always complain about we don't have enough staff, we don't have resources, we don't have that. So that is something you need to address with, with people who are gonna support you and also from your government. Monitoring progress and assessment, this is also a good something that you have to monitor your system. This is just a summary of what we're mentioning in this one, so you can find them. And this is the flow, the WHO is saying. You see, these are the flows that we would like to take you in order if you want to start your maturity level. So they're going to take you from the beginning, how you start thinking, and are you serious? They're going to meet with you. You have to develop your plan. They're going to review it. They meet with your staff, and they will take you through the whole process of benchmarking. This is fundamental for you because that will give you a lot of information. That will tell you how far, where are you standing now, and what you think your staff is complaining, what is missing, what you need to have in order to, so you can be able to bending your maturity level according if you want to achieve higher maturity level with WHO. Now, if you look part of the maturity level, how you can harmonize. Harmonization, and I always say harmonization and reliance. Harmonization is a magic word. That means it brings people together. Because if you could not be able to harmonize, you cannot talk to each other. The ICH was started in the principle is an harmonization. So they harmonize rules, guidelines, and things between all different regions. It's a good model for, how can we actually work and harmonize. We say a lot of countries would love to use the ICH guidelines in their guidelines with few modification to address their local need, and then they'll be able to do many things. And from harmonization, that is we have seen regional harmonization, different categories. For us in our region, the GCC is a good example. And then you say the APAC, the Asian, the Bandra, SADC, all these are harmonization groups. Their aim is just how to improve their regulatory system, and how they can help each other. And from experience, if you have good political wills, you have good harmonization, highly likely will be successful. So that is very key. And if the more you bring regulatory system in this harmonization region together, the more chances you'll be successful. One of the worst things is when you find somebody in maturity level 4 and the other one in the maturity level 1. So that is too much, or 2. So then what we said, try to bring everybody to very similar level so that you can utilize them, and then also it will help them to understand your concepts. The ICH, when it came, if you look, the principle, it's mainly coalition between national regulatory and industry, and this is a very unique, by the way, you know, in industry to sit and the government to sit together, and then they have consensus in getting approval of the guidelines, and which is one of the things that you see. It's a mechanism of ICH processing, effective management of administration, structure meeting, commitment to all parties. So this is something show you it's not difficult that we can work together, we can rely on together, we can develop things together. So this is an example of this one. What we are facing, you know, this slide. What you see, you are faced with many issues. Remember when we are putting our strategy, we read the WHO statement. One of the major issue regulatory agencies facing is how to retain their expertise and assessor for as longer time as they could. Why? Because we say that it's very easily that good assessors, you train them, you spend them, they left the agency. After a while, they go to the private, they don't go to, but that is have an impact on us. And then if you look for the rest of issues, it's all issues you have to address them. Workload, we all complain about workload, and we don't have enough staff, we don't have enough number of assessors. So building all this function. What this message telling you, you cannot do everything by yourself. You have to rely on somebody. And this is the concept why Reliance came up in the middle, and then people, they said, look at that, we need to this, we need to cooperate, we need to, why we repeat the questions. And today we have listened to most of in the morning about Reliance and how can we cooperate. And this is true. This is not something, you know, it's become a reality of regulatory, and the good regulatory system would be clever to utilize the better resources available for that. So this is something you keep in mind. And then this is the benefit of Reliance. You would say that, you know, all the points it's mentioning and the strengthening on Reliance, the benefit is strengthening the system and enhancing quality and strategy, regulatory, streamline. All these, I think, is part of your summary of Reliance model. What benefit you will include emerging regional maturity level 4? What this is just give you an idea. Now, if you have in your region a regulatory body who achieve good maturity level 4, and they'll be able to think, then think about utilizing them for two things. First, getting, you know, help and support from their experience, how they achieve that, so they will be a very good system. And then the next is how can you utilize their assessment report and do say their evaluating, so you can depend on them in reducing. So they became part of your Reliance model countries. I like today our colleagues from Egypt when they mention about their criteria for you know, choosing Reliance regulatory authority from based on criteria they use. So these are what you see in terms of the benefits of you utilizing this regional regulatory when you became part of your regulatory system. Emerging regulatory systems who are achieving level 4, they have strong reputation of credibility in terms of product scientific assessment, the strong GMP inspection capabilities that you can utilize, and the GMP inspection issue became a major issue for industry, and then how harmonization and Reliance can reduce the burden on the industry, and not only industry, actually reduce also the time for approval of the product, because sometimes approval product is connected with the GMP inspection. Presence of strong pharmacovigilance is important, and how can you cooperate, especially in the countries they don't have, how they can really have good exchange of information with the mature regulatory, comprehensive drug regulatory functioning, time, presence of resources of scientific trained forces. You know, they utilize them for training. So the best training you give your assessor is that to send them one of these regulatory and ask them to spend 2 or 3 months with them, so we'll be able to get involved in the daily training sometime more. So this is something is important. Membership in the ISH and networking and strong collaboration, high credibility. So all this is part of what we see in the regulation. This is a criteria for you to look at, and when you want to adopt maturity level 4 countries or part of your reliance model. So look what the best fit for you, so you will be able to choose in order to get them into you as a reference country. This is show you, this is how Singapore is maturity level 4, how they started, this, how they depend on their reliance, how they managed to get the whole harmonization, and then now they are doing many issues and they developed the regulatory system. If you look for Singapore, it's a very small regulatory country, but because they look into the future, so you'll be able to utilize many issues, so they are from the early countries who are adopted this abridged and verification principle on the system. SFDA, we followed the rules. We had involvement with global harmonization. We active with the GCC, and then we adopt reliance models, and then we move. And then we think now, based on this concept, the SFDA have moved forward, and they became one of the regional leading regulatory authority, and they achieved maturity level 4. And that is something, the SFDA is proud of, and then hopefully that, this will continue development of the regulatory system. What is next? Implementation, communication, strengthening with authority. So that's something we told you, that how to communicate your strategy to the authority. What is meant that is setting the scenes, outer changes, choose the best approach, and then you will be able to. So look at this part of your functionality, so you'll be able to communicate. The step into the future, you need to build consensus on the objectives, so we'll be able to move forward in order just to achieve your objectives, building your team. So the team is very important, and you need a special team training in order to lead with you. Seek assistance from WHO. Seek assistance from WHO and National Regulatory Authority. Partner with regional and national regulatory to provide support with the mission. And this is tough. But now partnering with somebody is very good for countries, because you'll be able to learn a lot from them, and you'll be able to utilize their expertise. So this is a tough task. It requires patience and dedication from your side, and this is something you will be able to do it. But it required, as you mentioned, paradigm shifting and thinking. So we'll be able to utilize each other in the way in the part that we are strong on. With this, I would thank you for your listening, and we'll be able to happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bawazir, for the presentation, and congratulations for Saudi FDA for attaining maturity level 4. Actually, it's a long journey, but we're reaping now the benefits. For the panel discussion, I would like to invite Dr. Zivanai Makoni. Dr. Zivanai is the Chief Regulatory Officer in Medicine Control Authority for Zimbabwe. Dr. Zivanai is a highly motivated regulatory science professional with more than 12 years of experience in various aspects of human complementary and veterinary medicines. He's proud to have participated as an important team member in medicine assessments and GMP inspections under SADC with the Zimbabwe. I would like to welcome Dr. Zivanai. Prof. Bawazir, you may please step in for the panel discussion. No, he doesn't have. And also we have joining online Dr. Ivan Mwikarago. He's from the Department of Human Medicine and Device in Rwanda FDA. Dr. Ivan has over a decade of experience in management and technical positions. Dr. Ivan served as National Reference Laboratory Division Manager, overseeing Diagnostics and Reference Laboratory Division. I would like to welcome Dr. Ivan and make sure that he's hearing us here. Dr. Ivan?
Hello?
Yes. Welcome, Dr.
I can hear you.
Yes,
thank you.
Welcome to the panel discussion, and then we get started. Hello? Yes. So again, congratulations for the Saudi FDA for attaining maturity level 4 with WHO. This is the highest level of maturity actually, and it seemed there were a lot of efforts that were done in the past in order to reach to that stage of maturity. I have a question here for you, Dr. Saleh. How long did it take you to reach there, and what was the main driver for this direction?
Thank you, Doctor. I think, we started thinking about WHO benchmarking in 2015, 2016, when the WHO started thinking about publishing their maybe first draft of this one. And then we had a team, they came an assessment for this to get this maturity level 3. And then later on, when we had our strategy was renewed in around 2020, and then we'll be able to start thinking about getting maturity. So if you look at it, take around 3 or 4 years to achieve maturity level 4.
3 to 4 years from 2 to 4.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. And what really differentiates maturity level 3 from level 4? I mean, we have many authorities here who had already successfully reached to maturity level 3, but what it takes to go to the next step?
Yeah, if you look to the definition of maturity level, and then you will see that maturity level 4, that you start doing an advanced issues that you'll not be able to do it in maturity number 3. And for example, you will be able to assess new chemical entities as the first country in the world. And so we are, SFDA is, they built the team that actually we can receive new chemical entity from companies that is still not marketed in any, let me say, stringent regulatory authority, even sometime even the country of origin. So we'll be able to prepare full scientific assessment report and reporting in the assessment. The SFDA start talking about the advanced therapy in terms of gene therapy assessment and other things that is usually you didn't see it in maturity level 3.
Okay, and that's very pioneering. I mean, if there is no assessment done before, you do not rely, and you're capable with the team to assess from scratch any new product that is introduced and have the evaluation complete by the Saudi FDA, correct?
No, I think there is, at least 2 or 3 products now under assessment. And I think we are not, we did approve 1 product, but that's for special cases.
Okay.
And then, but is not fully marketed.
Interesting. And another question, maybe Dr. Zivanai, how did you find achieving maturity level 3 in Zimbabwe contributing to management of counterfeit?
Thank you, and good afternoon. I think the attainment of maturity level speaks to the maturity for the regulatory authority being able to function fully pre-marketing authorization, post-marketing authorization, interlinkages between pre-marketing authorization and post-marketing authorization, as well as lab testing. So if you look at the different functions of the regulatory authority on the global benchmarking tool, they speak to the assurance that the regulator is putting on the patient. These functions has got a lot of credibility in ensuring that there is elimination of substandard medicines, elimination of falsified medicine. I can take, for example, assessment of medicinal products in the marketing authorization function ensures that you employ a risk-based approach for all of the medicines. When you receive an application for registration, you categorize that application into risk profiling, which is high risk, medium risk, and low risk. These risk profiling then also brings to what the regulator is going to do in terms of the pathway for assessment. You would expect normally high-risk products to do full assessment, and low-risk products, you will be doing a lot of reliance that we were talking in the morning. So it doesn't end at marketing authorization. You also need to then link the high-risk products with the PMS system, which is the post-marketing surveillance system. You notify the other functions that we have assessed a high-risk product. You should be on high alert, pick up the product, and engage that product into post-marketing surveillance systems. You should also be able to proactively test the product on the market through the post-marketing surveillance using field detection techniques. Nowadays, we have handheld devices that gives you real-time quality data on the quality, safety, and efficacy of that product in the market. So these are devices like near-infrared. Zimbabwe is in a pilot with WHO using handheld devices, Raman spectrophotometer, and near-infrared device that we are using to screen products that are on the market before we can expose them to more extensive tests like HPLCs. We have to screen for their quality. So I should say the GBT2 allows the regulator to introspect into their system, improve the quality management system, and interlink all the regulatory functions from pre-marketing authorization, post-marketing authorization, as well as the lab function. Thank you.
Yes, very clear. Thank you, Dr. Zivanai. And from here also, it seemed that a lot of investment has been done to kind of support the implementation of these quality standards and follow the WHO recommendations for this maturity level. And I have another question for Dr. Saleh that came from online attendees, like Saudi FDA address the challenges of how did Saudi FDA address the challenges of high cost of implementation of track and trace, as it seems to be a challenge for local manufacturing in some African countries?
Yeah, this is an issue that we thought about it when we start thinking about how to strengthen the supply chain. And remember, when we start thinking about it, there is, at that moment, there is only 2 countries who are implementing, it was Turkey, I think, one of them, where they start implementing this track and trace. And the issues when you want them, the issue lie with many stakeholders. Of course, starting with the manufacturer, that means you want them to serialize each product, and then you will be able to, you need the companies who will be able to help you implement that system. And then you need, in the regulatory system, when it's coming to you, then you need also a database where you can actually be able to track the product, and then product goes to the warehouse, and then go to the distributor, going to the pharmacies, and then go to the patient. So that is the full functionality. That is something is challenging in different countries, and also challenging for regulatory. Regulatory, they have to set up the system in order to track space, and that one, the challenge. That's the reason why the SFD established this track and trace center, so you'll be able to get all the rules and regulations required. And then also from industry point of view, you have to help them how to the best implement. In order to implement it, you need to have clear guidelines from the regulatory, and this is what the SFDA is doing from early stages. We already published, the guidelines on this and this issue. The question of cost is an issue for industry, and then unfortunately, that's the industry have to address it. And then, but we expect as long as since there is the realization became required by so many countries, so the cost usually will goes down in the term of implementation.
Interesting. We have seen also some examples where the industry collaborates with the health authorities to kind of absorb some of these costs, like in UAE and others. So maybe there will be a solution or implementation, not like Saudi Arabia from end to end. There could be like some solutions in between that still put some standards, as I know. Excellent. And we have another question. What would be an advice that we can give to health authorities? We have attendees from Tunisia, from Egypt, from all over Africa, who are planning to attain maturity level 3 or 4, according to the maturity level that they have at the moment. What would be an advice that we can give them, Dr. Saleh?
Well, I think the best advice that we can give them is to assess their current regulatory system. Just work on that one, because once you assess your system and you find where you're lacking, you will be able to put a strategic plan. And this strategic plan, with the help of the government, you will be able to implement. So you cannot go talk to the Ministry of Finance and you don't have anything in your hand to show them how important is the product of this project. So this is the best approach then. Prepare your work, prepare your needs, and then have some strategy in your mind. Then you will be able to see the cost. And then also the cost can be sometimes supported by the government if the Ministry of Finance is happy with you, or you can get support from other organizations worldwide. And this is, I think, the WHO, in their ways of strengthening, it's become part of the major, I think, project WHO is running in how to strengthen National Regulatory Agency as part of their commitment to health. So that's something that I think the best advice we can give. Excellent.
And Dr. Zivanai, from your end, what advice can we give to authorities which still didn't attain maturity level 3 or 4, or on their way to initiate the journey?
Yeah, so first of all, I think resource mobilization is one of the major key thing to do for regulatory authorities, because without resources, countries unfortunately won't be able to attain any maturity level. Why do I say this? Because you need financial resources, particularly to keep the highly skilled workforce, human capital that you have, because you see that without the people, without the financial resources, regulatory authorities will not be able to meet this. And also, there is the component of introspecting into the system that exists and aligning it to either world listed authorities, or the WHO maturity level 3 authorities. So then comes the issue of legal requirements to make sure that you do have the legal provision that give you the mandate to regulate products, because that's where the benchmarking starts from. And then align those legal requirements with guidelines or regulations that then permit you to proffer the regulatory work that's needed for you to attain maturity level 3. I think those are the most key aspects that the regulators need to address in order to attain maturity level.
Absolutely. And from Rwanda, Dr. Ivan, if you want to share an advice from your end also.
Hello.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Thank you. I think quite good information has been given by both countries, the Saudi FDA and the Zimbabwe. For Rwanda, we have also engaged in rigorous quality improvement, including the GBT tool for maturity level 3. And it's been now 2-3 years down the road when we are trying to improve, and more recently been assessed, and we hope for the best for the outcome. We haven't known yet. And what we can share is putting in place a quality management system for product registration is quite important. Improving the human resource and the capacity of the assessors has been very important, and also the milestone of using reliance as a variable tool for product registration and speeding up the registration and learning from the other NRIs has been a very, very important component. And of course, it is for registration and also post-market surveillance and inspection and the audits, which is something very unique. So we've been learning experience of using WHO tool of reliance and also harmonization with countries that have attained maturity level 3. So it's quite the same, and the challenges have been almost the same.
Yep.
Utilizing the digital system and speeding up the product registration and ensuring that everything is in good place. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So coming to the last question, Saudi attaining WHO maturity level 4, and it's being one of the first, or it is actually the first country in Africa, Middle East to reach to that WHO maturity level. What does that mean to the other countries, the neighboring countries? How can we maximize the benefit out of this advantage in order to kind of leverage our regulatory systems?
Yeah, I think as a regions, I think we should learn from each other. That is the key message. We should utilize the strength of every regional regulator in this region, and we should get experience. How can we also move to the same level of advancement with them? So communication is important. SFDA is willing to help participate, and then that's part of their mandate. They became full member of the ICH, and then also chairing this one. The idea is that we would like to be a good and a strong regulatory authority in the region, and that also make it easier for communication, and how other countries they can rely on, how other countries they can benefit from our experience, how they can share, with the SFDA their concern, and so on. So I think this is will be a good part of demonstrating how good we are when we're utilizing the neighboring strong regulatory authority in the region, and also because we usually this would because we have a lot of common things between our regions in terms of things. So Saudi Arabia will be able to do it, other countries will be able to do it, but also let's say how can we utilize the local, regional, strong regulatory authority in our reliance mode.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dr. Bawazir. I think this is the last question. Thank you so much for the presentation and the discussions. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.